Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Noel Archard, Global Head of ETFs at Alliance Bernstein, to discuss growth in the U.S. ETF market, which stands now at $7 trillion. Noel, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks. And there's so much that you can unpack when you take a look at where flows are going and different launches that are taking place in the space.
Yeah. It's been an interesting, every year is an interesting year, but coming off of 22 where we saw, a lot of turmoil in the marketplace, and as we headed into this year with questions on which way rates going, inflation, where's the market heading, debt ceiling, all these good things, ETFs have remained a pretty vibrant part of that scene, as always, because as the product have expanded, you see more and more investors using it both for strategic allocation and tactical asset allocations in their portfolios, especially in fixed income. That's been a big part of the story this year. It
certainly has been, and active management is certainly coming back.
It is. I think that the two things that are kind of fun about this year, bonds are back with sort of the upside to the rate increases is that you're starting to see yields now that are highly competitive, where folks used to have to take a bit more risk on the portfolio and equity positions. They're getting that yield income stream interest from fixed income, and also the active management scene in ETFs is really kicking up. We have a lot of new sponsors, a lot of new products coming out. About 30% of the flows in ETFs this year have been in active products and heavy participation as well as far as what the trading profile looks like. So really positive there.
Yeah, well, it's interesting now too, because since there is something happening in the fixed income market, you don't necessarily have to rely on heavy dividend ETF plays. There's a little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah, we've seen that transition where there was a real uptick in usage in dividend ETFs through last year, the beginning of this year, a real transition into fixed income products, and also just moves along the curve. So we're seeing a bit more participation in high yield, shift into intermediate term exposures in the fixed income market. And on the equity side, people looking at growth, but also with a bit of a quality overlay, because as investors are thinking about taking the noise of today out of the equation and looking at their longer term portfolios, it can be a nice time to take advantage of companies with good growth dynamics.
Do you expect the trajectory to remain when it comes to mutual fund conversion to the ETF product?
I think we're going to see continued traction there. I think some people think it's going to be just this tidal wave. It's a more complicated equation than that when you think about at the end of the day, it's got to benefit the existing shareholders in the fund to do that conversion. And that means that the conversion has to work well. There has to be growth potential, all that the good things that come out of that. But I think that's a tool that sponsors, that asset managers are going to use, because the ETFs are really turning into a preferred vehicle. It's not the end of mutual funds. Right. There's some strategies you can't run in an ETF that you might use a mutual fund in. Still a very robust footprint in the retirement space for mutual funds and collective trusts. But when I think over my career, when I started, it was, investors tended to hold individual securities, very, a couple of key positions, names that they knew well, and mutual funds. And now we're really seeing the shift into the use of separately managed accounts. So getting that professional asset manager to buy, a curated list of securities based on a strategy, paired with ETFs to have the liquidity and some of the broad exposures.
Let's talk about Alliance Bernstein's business for a moment here. How does the ETF products fit into the overall value proposition at AB?
Yeah, the way that we're looking at it is that the ETFs have to just be an extension of the capabilities that we have. This is a little bit thinking about, you want to meet clients where they are. So whether they want to access one of our muni strategies or our equity strategies in a SMA, in an ETF, whatever that structure might be, make sure that we have an integrated way of delivering what we do well to investors in the type of account that they want it in.
And what differentiates Alliance Bernstein ETFs?
Few things I think that are hitting the right beats right now is obviously we've got great research, great portfolio managers and strategists, but as great as the ideas are, we've invested a lot in our technology relative to how we trade the securities. That's got to be part of how we get to what we want to achieve in the funds. So the tech stack and the actual investment fundamental research, the quantitative research. And I think we've put together a team of people who are really thinking across the company, how do clients invest and how do we invest for best outcomes from them? How do we take some of our strategies and make sure we either complement what we already do well or complement other products that we know that our investors are using to make sure that if they're looking to maximize yield, kind of dial down, volatility in their returns, that we have a product that will help with that.
To your point before, meet them where they are, right?
Exactly.
All right, Noel, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.